This is the Night Owls Disc Golf Podcast. I'm Shane.
And I'm JP.
And we about to get fierce. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the Fierce documentary. I watched it. JP did not. He's a slacker. But I'll give you my honest opinion about it. And then we can talk about some things that we feel.
Feelings.
It's going to be great. Sunshines and rainbows. Lollipops and raspberries. Do lollipops and raspberries go together?
Sure, I'm sure there's raspberry lollipops.
Blue raspberry.
Oh,
WTF, blue raspberry.
I don't know.
Why is that one of the most popular?
But it's a great flavor.
It is the absolute best flavor. Okay. So,
There's nothing better than a blue raspberry Jolly Rancher.
I know. No, the strawberry ones.
Oh, yes.
Super good.
Yeah.
I think the watermelon ones are probably the best ones.
I like watermelon too, but
blue
it's
raspberry's
such a
good.
fake flavor.
It is. So when I was younger, I used to get these things called plaits in the back of my throat.
Okay.
They're just like inflamed skin.
Mm-hmm.
And found out that I was mildly allergic to blue dye number 5.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, really weird. And then as I grew up, I just kind of forgot about it. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't bother me anymore now. So I'm super excited about that. Because
Nice.
I was eating like these ice pops that were blue.
Okay.
I would always grab all the blue ones first.
Yeah.
And I started getting these things on the back of my throat. And I'm like, dude, these hurt. And I don't like it. And that's what it was. So,
Okay.
the only thing as far as I know, other than penicillin, that I was allergic to ever.
Mm-hmm.
So I get allergic to stupid people sometimes, but I don't know if that's allergies. Just kidding. I love all people. Okay, now let's be critical. All right, here we go.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about the Fierce documentary. I'll start off by saying, watch it. It's worth a watch. It has some good content.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there is a good storyline in there. Now, with that out of the way, I have some problems with it.
Okay.
So we watched it, or I watched it.
How long is it?
It's about an hour. I don't remember how long. It was
Okay.
too long.
Too long. Okay. That's first criticism. It's too damn long.
No. It was, I don't know. It was like an hour, 30
Okay.
minutes.
Yeah.
It felt long enough.
Sure.
It was never to a point where I was like, oh my goodness, this is droning on. Like,
Yeah.
it was never to a point in that. So I enjoyed the perspective of all the players that were on it. I enjoyed the storyline of Paige Pierce chasing the world title. I enjoyed the storyline of Paige Pierce and her rivalries. I enjoyed the storyline of Paige Pierce and her dad. I enjoyed the storyline of Paige Pierce and her significant other, Alyssa. I enjoyed the storyline of Paige Pierce and her fans. I enjoyed the storyline of Paige. Are you getting where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am.
I know that
Absolutely.
this is a documentary about Paige Pierce. The problem I have with it is it was heavily about Paige Pierce. And her words directly is that I'm doing this to bring more people to disc golf.
And she says that in the documentary.
In the documentary.
Okay.
And expose people to disc golf.
Mm-hmm.
This is not for me. Baloney. It's 100% about her. And I think not only about her in the story, but it's self-serving, in my humble opinion. Because she's very heavily involved in the story
Right.
and the creation of it. So they spent a lot of money on it. $300,000 from what I heard for the interview.
Okay.
And that's all part of when you buy it. It gives you all these like bonus little things.
Sure.
And I thought, with that aside, that's just me being critical. It's a good storyline. I think there's some good stuff in it. But they're just trying to sell it as something else, something other than what it is.
Okay.
I think it's a great story about Paige Pierce and what she went through that year.
Yeah.
I think it's a fantastic story. And I think it's done very well. And for a documentary of a disc golfer, not of disc golf, don't get it twisted, of a disc golfer, I think it's great.
Sure.
I think it's fantastic. There are some things in there that maybe I don't know if they were necessary to forward the story, but they were in there, and it's part of Paige's life.
Yeah.
Those type of things.
Okay.
I think it's great. If it was told to me that it was about Paige Pierce, I probably wouldn't have got it. Because I mean, I'm a fan of what she's done.
Yeah.
I appreciate her game. Like, I think she's a fantastic player. And what she has done for the sport is great. I'm not the biggest fan of Paige Pierce. So I wouldn't pay money to see Paige Pierce and her life. Mm-hmm. It was presented to me as a disc golf documentary about Paige Pierce's, win to get the 6th world title.
Right.
That was probably the first 15 minutes, and that was about it.
Interesting.
And then it was just about Paige Pierce's drama in life and game and hardships and on and on and on.
Sure.
You know, the type of stuff that, and I'm trying not to give too much away, but the type of stuff that the adversity that she's facing.
Yeah.
All of that is fine. It just wasn't presented maybe that way.
Okay.
Like I said. So, if I had to rate it, I would rate it like a 4 or 5 out of 10 at best.
Yeah.
Like I said, worth a watch with the expectation that you're going to know a lot about Paige Pierce when it's done. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to do anything for disc golf in general.
Okay.
And the idea that we're going to put it out to disc golf, this is help disc golf, to further disc golf, to expose disc golf to more non-disc golfers, is a crock, because why would you put it behind a paywall on a disc golf network?
Yeah. Right.
You got to make money. I understand the business side of it. I don't falter for that. But don't tell us that this is about exposing disc golfers to, or exposing non-disc golfers to the sport that we love, and then put it behind a disc golf paywall.
Right.
That's not, in my opinion, that's just, you're just lying. That's misleading. So outside of that, once again, watch it. It's worth it. It's not about disc golf. It's about Paige Pierce, the disc golfer.
Okay.
So there you go. Now it's a documentary called Fierce. So maybe it's my fault for being naive and thinking what someone says is what it's going to be about.
Yeah. I mean, it's happened with movies plenty where you see a trailer and then you're like, oh my gosh, this looks great. Or like they're pushing it as something, and then all of a sudden it takes a turn and you're like, this isn't what was presented to me.
Right.
And that sounds like the case for you.
I think so. And like I said, I'm not mad. I'm not disappointed. I am disappointed. I'm not mad. I'm not like I have no anger towards Paige. I have no anger towards, the Disc Golf Network.
Yeah.
It just wasn't what my expectation was.
Yeah, I could see that. The paywall thing, like you had brought up, is interesting. It was, I think, $6.99 for Disc Golf Network. Something
12 something.
That was for non.
I bought it right on the app.
Okay.
And I want to say it was $12.
Because I had heard that if you were a Disc Golf Network subscriber, you got it for like $5.99 or $6.99, and then non-members got it for $12.99.
Maybe that's what it was.
I don't know, but I can't imagine somebody,
I can't see how much I bought it for now.
Yeah, that's hard for me to. You're sitting at home. It's not like you're going to a theater and paying $12.99. I mean, I have paid more than that because, but then you get to keep it. And I guess you do get to keep it at, watch it however long you want. I mean, it's, I guess that's okay. I don't know if I would consider it premium content, and that's why you're paying for it.
Right.
Like
and it's already been paid for, especially for those that supported the effort.
Right. There was a Kickstarter or something like that she had put out, and I guess people were kind of upset because they're like, okay, I already helped fund this program. Now I have to pay more on top of that to see it. Where like with the Ideo shoes, like we have kick-started that, And it's like, okay, well, for this tier, you get this. For that, don't know much about this documentary and how that went, or if there's anything like that.
Yeah, there
But it
were
doesn't-
discs and there were things
Okay,
that came with
discs.
different tiers.
Sure.
So there were packages
But
that
it
came with
sucks
tiers.
that part of it, being able to see it, had to be tied into another paywall beyond like what you helped fund it.
Right.
And then
And they raised like $170,000 or something like that.
Okay.
But the project, I guess, went to about 300 grand.
sure.
So
So you got to make up your money somehow.
yeah,
Right.
I get the need for the money.
Yep.
I get the need.
Sure.
I don't falter for it. As far as paying the $12 or $6 or $7 or whatever
Yeah.
it was that I paid, whether it was $7 or 11 or $13 or whatever it was, I'm not angry about that. Like I'm really not. If I didn't have the money, I wouldn't have spent it. And if I would have went to a movie theater, I would have spent a lot more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess that doesn't hit home with me. I think it was just the content for me.
Okay.
So
Because it's interesting because I think Jomez was tied to it. The Eagle McMahon documentary.
Yeah.
The one about him and his dad.
yeah,
You know, they put that out on YouTube. So,
Free?
Yeah,
Yeah.
free.
and it was fantastic. It was awesome. And I think they could have done more with it, but they didn't have money. They weren't,
Yeah.
And I think
Right.
from what I understand, they're doing a couple more of those things over there. So, yeah, I don't know. I thought some of the perspectives that it had were great. I think seeing some of the vulnerability of Paige was nice. Like the aftermath of losing certain tournaments and things like that, and how I think there might be added drama because there's cameras around.
Yeah.
So I think
Like
it may or may not be authentic.
okay, that's what I was curious about. The way that it's perhaps edited or something to show certain things or cut certain things out that, there's always that. Like,
Right.
Because I think you said Paige might have had some like creative control in it where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe this.
Well, I think she says that the first rendition came to her at like 2 hours and 40 minutes, and she had to cut an hour out.
Oh, wow.
So she definitely had a decent amount of creative control over it, or as far as the final cuts go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think there was some vulnerability that was shown there, and I don't want to question the authenticity of the vulnerability. But she was laying there crying, and she said, like, "This isn't how I want girls that wear Paige Pierce hats, like little girls that wear Paige Pierce hats, to see me. This isn't how I should have acted." Which I thought was a fantastic point. I thought some of the stuff that was in there, I thought the story about Paige Pierce was fantastic. This just wasn't what was conveyed to me. So I think it was hard for me to get past the fact that it was a self-serving documentary as opposed to a selfless documentary about disc golf.
Sure.
And I felt like that's what was portrayed to me. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I completely misread it, and maybe that's on me. But I don't think it was. I'm pretty, I can understand things when they're told to me.
Yeah.
Like I don't miscommunicate very often in that regard, or mishear things very often in that regard. But maybe I did. Maybe I'm wrong.
Right.
Maybe it was completely 100% about Pierce. So, but
I feel like the part about expanding outside of disc golf is going to be a really hard thing to do, because the goal is to get people outside of disc golf to care about one of the biggest names of disc golf that they've never heard of. Right? How do you you can only go so far on social media. Hopefully people that have it, they're like, hey, I want to show you this documentary. But then it's like, how do you get somebody to care? It's just a weird situation. And then, many people have asked, oh, is this going to be on Netflix? Is this going to be on this? And they're like, well, that's the end goal. We need to present numbers that this is good. So, we are getting your disc golf core audience to get it. I mean, if you wanted more people to get it, because people didn't want to pay for it.
right.
And so they just flat out didn't see it. I think if you just released it on Disc Golf Network to people who already had it and already paid, you'd have a bigger audience, right? And then, I'm sure people are still talking about it. The other thing for me that's interesting is I don't know how about Netflix their structure for getting content is. Like, I'm assuming that they have to pay rights, to studios to get all the movies and whatever is associated with those studios onto Netflix. And then obviously they have their own content. Part of me thinks that since this is an independent project, that this money that they're trying to raise is they're trying to persuade Netflix to put it on by giving giving Netflix money to
Buying
put it on.
airtime.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's kind of why they're going through it. Like, hey, we raise it because, yeah, I think just as an independent company or filmmaker, it's hard to get your content out there without, so you have to give them that money.
You're thinking this is kind of like a CBS Sports with the dynamic disc open where it was going to be on
Kind
CBS
of.
Sports. They paid for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see how that would be the case. And once again, I think this is part of my frustration with it is to continue to tell us something that this $12.99 is to give numbers to Netflix. Like, no, it's not. The $12.99 is to pay for the film and to pay for the project cost. It's not about the numbers, because if it was about the numbers, you would put it out for free somewhere where it's going to get a ton of views.
Yeah.
YouTube, even the Disc Golf Network, that's fine. Where
Yeah.
they have 170 some or 200 some thousand subscribers. Like, give it to them.
Yeah.
Give them their numbers and say, hey, there was 200,000 subscribers and 195,000 of these subscribers watch this video. Here you go. Those are the ways to get the numbers. Like, if that's truly, it's like, stop trying to pull the wool over people's eyes. Just say, we need to pay for this project, and we also need to try to get it onto Netflix. This is how I think we're going to do it. But we need you guys to pay for it first.
Right. Just be very
we need
clear
money.
with your points. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think Paige's intentions are truly stoic. I think they're truly honorary. Or honorable. I think she's trying to do the right thing. I really do. I don't have any question in my mind that this is truly the right thing in her mind, and that she's trying to help. And exactly what she says, I want this to help the disc golf community. I just think there's a certain amount of, I think I've said it before, I think there's just so much ego or narcissism that is not recognized there, and she might even be dealing through, that she just doesn't see how egocentric it is. Now, it's a story about her fighting for a Six Worlds tour or Six World title and the adversity she faces in that year. I get it. It wasn't presented that way.
Sure.
I think I've said that a lot, but it just wasn't presented that way. I'm trying to defend this is my but like Brody,
Yeah.
Yeah, but he threw a rock at me first. So I hate it because I think I'm the first the first critic of that I've heard. I haven't heard anybody else say anything critical of it. Everybody else is like, this is great. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, it's not. I mean, it's good. Like, watch it. I think it's a fantastic story about Paige Pierce, but it is not what it has been portrayed to be.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of a bummer to hear.
It is. But once again, watch it for yourself. And I would love to hear if you think differently once you watch it. But, for me, like I said, it just fell short for me in the expectations department.
And I just think there's got to be a better strategy to get it out to people outside of disc golf.
I agree.
Like, there's got to be something better than just, here's the numbers, it's going to get there. But then you have to know that obviously social media will help it. I'm sure Discraft will push it, getting out onto other platforms.
Yeah.
But then, people have to find it, outside of the people that have already found it on Disc Golf Network. Like, you have to, I'm sure there's people that are just like, well, I'm going to watch this documentary about whatever, maybe those people like it. And they're like, hey, I find this really interesting. Then they latch onto it. But it's still such a niche thing.
Yeah. And I think there is some compelling stuff in there, and especially with some of the other topics that they tackle. I think there's some compelling stuff in there, and I think it could appeal to a larger audience, and I think it could expose people to disc golf. but
Maybe that
how behind a paywall on
Yeah.
a disc golf site?
and maybe that just has to be maybe if they've like recut a trailer. Like right like the way they presented it, like you said, was okay, we're going to this sixth championship. But to get it to a larger audience, you recut a trailer showing more of the emotional side of this person
Right.
or more you know, them outside of the sport to like
Right.
get somebody to really care about who she is.
Well, and I think that's the sale. I think that's the pitch is, and if it was pitched to me this way, I'd be super happy with the documentary. But I think that's the pitch. Check this chick out. It's probably a horrible word to use, but check this chick out. She's went through this. She did this, which is a huge life decision or whatever, however you define that. You know, she came out to her parents. You know, there's all these things that happen in this year while she's competing for this, and she misses it by that much.
Yeah.
You know, like how do you tell that story in a preview? That's what should be out there. Like that's fantastic. That's good, compelling stuff, and that's stuff that I would want. Like, there's movies I've watched that I'm like, I no care about any of like the Alpinist and Free Solo. Could care less about mountain climbing.
Yeah.
Especially Free Solo with no ropes and stuff.
Yeah.
Could care less. But the way that they put that out there, I watched it, loved it. Like, because of the story behind the person.
Sure.
It
Yeah.
wasn't about the climbing, it was about the person, but it exposed me to that
Yeah.
genre of, you know, life. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, marketing is a crazy thing,
It is.
you know, because I think they want to market to a broader crowd, but they only know how to market to disc golfers. I think is what's happening. So, I don't know if I have anything else to say. I mean, I do, but I don't know. We're going to beat that horse anymore.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, get out there, watch it. If you want to pay for it, pay for it. It is not a documentary about disc golf. It is about Paige Pierce. As long as you know that and you want to watch it, go for it. I mean, it is a fantastic documentary in that regard. So,
You know what's a really good documentary about?
do.
What?
I don't know.
It's about predators. Oh, Parade.
I really want to watch that.
I watched it
too.
last night.
Oh, I might watch it tonight. Who knows? I mean, it's pretty late, but
Yeah.
I'm not ready to go to bed yet.
I watched it. Yeah, I think it started at like 11 o'clock and I finished it closer to 1.
Okay.
If you love predators.
Oh, love it. The other one is Sandman.
Oh, I gotta start watching that.
Dude, it's so good.
Is it?
Yeah, we started watching it I started watching it while we were at Ledgestone.
Okay.
So good.
Nice.
So good.
I'm glad to hear that because the source material is really good, but also really like kind of hard to follow. And like if they can do a good job with this,
It is, as of right now, it seems pretty good.
Yeah.
It seems very, this is going to be ironic, it seems very Eureka-ish.
Okay.
So you remember the show or Eureka?
A little bit, yeah.
Where like random characters would pop out of nowhere for an episode or two.
Yeah.
It has a vibe like that where these random characters, you're like, what's the importance of them? And you don't know yet.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden it'll probably come together. But as of right now, there's all these little things that are happening. You're like, oh, that's neat, you know?
Yeah.
But really cool. Like,
Okay.
really neat.
Excellent.
So, all right then. Anything else? JP?
I gotta pee.
No, that you don't put that on OnlyFans.
I don't think. Maybe some people do.
You hesitated really long on that. Oh, folks. All right.
Peace.
Peace out.